As the clock strikes 7, the vibes alive. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Thursday, November 13th. 2 more weeks to Thanksgiving. 2 more weeks to Thanksgiving. So the year is the holiday season is here, and the year is running very, very, very fast. I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and with my regular dynamic co-host, Miss B. Miss B, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone. Excited to be here today. It's Thursday, almost Friday.
Almost Friday, almost the weekend. Um, Folks, tonight it's a very interesting topic. I mean, if you're an immigrant, I think it's a very interesting topic. I think, legacy building for immigrants. What are you leaving behind? Whether you are life insurance or all those millions of dollars for your kids, or are you leaving them in debt or whatever. So, legacy building for immigrants. What are you leaving behind? So, tonight that's the topic under discussion. And so, folks, you can contribute to the conversation by putting a comment in the chat or calling our number 952-594-5154. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, LinkedIn, X, Apple Podcast, Spotify, everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere. We are everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Everywhere. So every social media platform we are.
So
Anywhere
get
podcast
into
is.
the
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
I want to do some shout outs.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So yesterday I got an
Mhm.
award. I forgot to talk about that.
Okay.
It was surprising. I served for 2 years on a board at the Connect Up Institute.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's unique about the Connect Up Institute is you think about entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And how everywhere people can kind of really go places as for continuing education. If you're a realtor, you can go somewhere and get CE credits, but as a business, somebody in your business, an entrepreneur, there's nowhere where you can really go and keep educating yourself. So that's what I like about the Connect Up Institute. It's really a place for entrepreneurs and to go get different type of education about owning their business, starting a business, or even growing the business if they've already been in business for a long time. And so
Mm-hmm.
they had their graduation ceremony last night. So it's called the Lunar Accelerator Program and the Capital Ready Program. So you can just kind of already guess what the Capital Readiness Program is. Those two programs had the two cohorts graduate last night. And then they gave me an award for serving on the board because I'm leaving the board after serving on the board for almost 3 years. They gave me an award to recognize, the work that I've been doing on the board. But I mean, it was free and really work that I'm passionate about because everybody who knows me, I want to help business owners. I like working with entrepreneurs. And so it didn't feel like work, but it was a great event last night. I'm actually drinking the drink that the catering company I created, but I don't remember their name. I would shout them out as well too, but Black-owned catering company. And they make vegan and vegetarian food. So I was happy last night. I had options to vegan, gluten-free meals, a vegan cake for dessert. So I was happy. So shout out to the Connect Up Institute. They're in St. Paul. if you're an entrepreneur, go check them out. I forgot to share, talk about them last night on our business segment, but just wanted to touch base. As we talk about legacy, sometimes, that's worth more than even money. The legacy that you leave as an individual, your reputation, serves for the doors that will open up for your children and your generations to come too. So, yeah.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a great segue, right? It's like service to our community is very important. Kudos to you for doing that. Nothing in return. That's the great thing about it. Sometimes we expect everything in return, especially we live. I'm a capitalist, and sometimes we expect everything in return, but
Must be paid
the
to do stuff.
yeah, the intangibles, right? They call it as something intrinsic value,
Yep.
something that has no monetary value, but you're doing it. I think sometimes it's worth more than things that bring monetary value. And so it's like
Yeah.
kudos to you for doing that. And man, to all the folks out there, if you are called to serve on a board, don't say you don't have the time. We all have time. It's just
Yeah.
about we have 24 hours in a day, right? It's like the way we manage it is the key sometimes, so
Yeah.
serve, the world right now needs service. The world needs service. And I think
Lot.
Peterson and I talk about this on Tuesday that, the young kids today growing up, we don't even know we're talking about Veterans Day. They don't know what service is anymore, and things like that. So I think, kudos to you again for doing that. And we hope, more and more people can volunteer their time because, especially when it comes to the nonprofit boards, right? A lot of nonprofit boards doing great things in our communities. They need more
Yeah.
folks, but no one.
A lot of working nonprofit boards, right?
Yeah, yeah,
They're serving as staff, they're serving in the capacity too,
yeah, yeah.
to help the organization. So yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so kudos to you for doing that, and thanks for bringing that up. So again, congratulations to the Connect, whatever
Connect Up Institute, yes.
Connect Up Institute. Congratulations for serving the community. That is very important. So, well, well, well. I mean, you already building your legacy. I can see you building your legacy here. But I thought about this topic where as immigrants when we come here, life gets so busy. Obviously you came here very, very young. Some of us came here a little bit young, not that young, a little bit young. Other folks come here older, right? But life gets so busy. I don't think we take the time to even think about our legacy, in terms of intrinsic value, in terms of monetary value, what are we doing for our kids? Are we prepared today? Because you have so many stories, right? When a person in the immigrant community died, and you had this GoFundMe, the person here, oh, we got to raise money to bury this person. You say, what? Okay, make this make sense to me, right? It's like sometimes, obviously these are unfortunate or tragic events, but you say, but the person been here all these years. What happened? So this I think this topic hit close to home for many, many of us. What's your thought process on it?
No, I agree. I will say I've experienced somebody being able to leave something behind. My father-in-law left actual money
Okay.
behind for his kids. African American man, grew up in Missouri, worked in Indiana, worked for the federal government, and retired, and basically lived off of his Social Security and left his pension behind for his kids. All
Hmm.
of them. He dispersed it among the four of them, and it was pretty good. It was a pretty good amount of money. Um,
Okay,
and
that's good.
and I want to uplift that because we don't hear that very often when it comes to the African American community, when it
Hmm.
comes to African American men, right?
Hmm.
He took care of his kids, raised them, and then also left a little nest egg behind for them, right? And I will say, my mom, her Liberian self, may she rest in peace, she left, some stuff behind for us as well. So we're pretty good. We're pretty set in Liberia, right? I
Hmm.
thank God for her, right? Left several properties, left a business there. Honestly, if we weren't so caught up in being in America, we could be in Liberia doing pretty well, and living, a pretty modest life. And
Okay.
so it is possible, and it's not hard to do. My dad here has worked for ACMC for years, so he has retired. He's 74, and then from HCMC he went to Open City, so he's always been in the working for public health
Hmm.
entities. And so even to himself, he retired, and they showed him the amount of money they had for him in his pension. He's like, oh no, don't give me all of that right now. Let me get it small. So, now that we're hoping for anything to happen for God past, we know that there will be a little something for us kids to be able to have and appreciate, because he's very humble and he lives pretty modest. So I don't see him eating away at that anytime soon. But it's important to be able to leave something behind. And another thing I would say about legacy and reputation can do so much, even more than just money alone. My mom is very well known in the community, and I believe that I'm living off of some of the blessings that she left behind because of the life that she lived here in America too. The people that she knew and how she was always in the community, helping out, volunteering between church, planning people's wedding. I mean, everybody, a little bit of everybody knew who my mom was. And I feel like I'm still getting the return on those investments that she made in community today.
You brought a couple of points, and I will kind of address and think one at a time, right? Like, I mean, the thing about legacy, right? I mean, the older generation, like your mom, folks that are older, they really, when it comes to those, especially when it comes to those intrinsic value, like building their legacy, the way they take care of their family, the way they serve their community, I think that was very, very much important to them. Service was important to them because they felt like, well, they had to pay it forward, right? So their kids will come after them, or another generation will come after them. Now, with the generation we live in, as I say, right, as I said earlier, right, service is not even important to people anymore, right? And the way we even live our lives, the way we live our lives, right? It's like, I mean, sometimes you see all these crazy, excuse me for my language, crazy people on the internet, cursing out each other, all this drama. It talking about, like we had a segment here where in like the oversharing epidemic, right? People sharing so much of their personal lives on social media, on Facebook. What does that do for your legacy, right? It's like, when your kids tomorrow, when you are gone, when you are no longer here, your kids is oh, God, was that my mom acting up like that or something? you know so that so that piece. And then the other thing about your father-in-law, your mom, and your dad, right, is like they maybe what I would like to bring in that, right, all of those examples you brought, was it like, did they have will? Because that's one of the things I want to read. Was there will involved, right, where in like that was spelled out, like, hey, Miss B, you have X, Y, and Z, your sisters, or your father-in-law, the four kids. Was those things spelled out, as we live our life, when it comes to those kind of important things? Are we planning for those eventualities? With the three examples that you raised here,
Yes.
was it laid out like that?
So especially with my father-in-law, so he was living with us, so we
Okay.
had access to everything, right? And
Hmm.
so lo and behold, my husband, when we went to the bank, they was like, no sir, Mr. Ron left some directives here,
Okay.
and so
Okay.
your siblings will need to be notified about this money, and there are directives here about it being split up among all of you and who's going to get what.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so, yeah, he did leave a will. He had a clear out will of how much everybody was going to get. So there
Hmm.
was no way my husband was going to acquire all the money himself, just because he was the last person who was taking care of his father. And honestly, he was the one that went, because mind you, living in Minnesota, and his dad had everything in Indiana. So he had to go to Indiana, go to the bank, figure out all the information, basically did all of the legwork, right? Which,
Hmm.
I mean, to the bank's interest, is it's more money in their bank for them to give out a loan. It's not that they're going to take it or they
Yeah.
capture it over time, but if nobody's coming to claim it, and they'll look for people to an extent how much address they can have, then the bank, it'll continue to be in the bank, and the bank would just be giving loans against that money. So that's the only benefit the bank will get from that, from you not finding it out. But he did all the legwork, and at the end of the day, there were directives that were giving. There was a lawyer in place, an estate, that they was able to explain and read out to all of them and tell them who gets what, and what the dad's wishes were and stuff like that. And so my mom, yes, the stuff in Liberia, she left in our names with deeds and everything. And actually, we had that stuff before she even passed away. When we go home, she gave us all of those things and made sure that we kept it here in the States in our
Mm,
possession. So,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it's shared between my siblings and us. The siblings that my mom gave birth to is what those, because y'all know y'all African men, yeah, y'all got multiple children and moms. And it's a similar situation with my dad and his mom, where my grandma, my grandfather had multiple wives. And so my grandma kept certain properties and deeds for her children. And so when she passed away, she gave those deeds to them. And similar with my mom and her siblings too, right? So there's actually family land in Liberia, right, that is split among the kids. But my
Mm.
mom went to Liberia and she's like, okay, I'm not going to fight over family land. Let me create my own stuff to leave behind for my kids. So yeah, there are things put in place.
I mean, obviously, right? You want to knock on the United Nations family of the African of the African, either way, either all these complexities, you bring it up. And I think that's why the reason why I brought that up. I think that's why the a will or directive is very, very important because if you don't have that, it's like kids from different out of these different
We'll be
out of these
fighting.
different countries, out of these different countries, I guess for different parents and things like that, it becomes complicated. So I think the message in that is to folks, man, listening to us tonight. I know life gets so busy, but if you have fit, you have kids, you have family, it is very, very important. Also, oh, I don't need a will. Will is not for only rich people. A
Mm-mm,
directive is not for only rich people. It's
mm-mm,
even if you have debt, right? Because in America, debt doesn't go away. You
mm-mm.
die, it doesn't necessarily go
The
away, right?
Republican
They'll,
knows.
they will come after. They will come after whoever they know
Mhm.
that they can come after for that debt. And for those of us that have family, those of us that have kids, in most instances, those are the people that are going to come after. So it is important that a will and a directive that Ms. B mentioned here, that
Yes.
that you have those in place, because if you don't, that's where, like, I hear stories. Oh, the person dies, like maybe like this person said, oh, they wanted to be buried this way. They want, because you have situation where Ms. B, right? It's like, unfortunately, there have been a couple of folks in our community, right? I mean, here in this country, go back home to visit. Unfortunately, I mean, things, maybe they pass away. They made their untimely death, and then
Yeah.
now, right? Sometimes, like, people are making decisions to bring these bodies back here. You wonder, okay, was that what he wanted, or is that what she wanted? So some of these things. So that's why it's very, very
E-
important to have a
Exactly. And that is
directive.
so
That's what
expensive too.
that's why it
Yeah.
is important to have a will that, hey man, if X, Y, and Z happen to me, or if I become I'm incapacitated, right? I want X, Y, and Z thing to happen, because even in sickness, right? There's this. I mean, you have people bickering, going at it for each other. Oh no, he didn't want this. Oh no, this. It's like, that's why a living will, that's why a directive is so, so important. But our community, man, will take it for granted.
Yeah. And one of these days it would be great for us to really talk about trust, right? And people putting things in trust. Those
Maybe,
homes.
yeah, maybe we should bring a an estate planner here.
There you go.
An estate planner here to really,
Yep.
really, because these things are not for rich people,
No, it's
folks.
not.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
And most immigrant families, whether we intentionally want to classify ourselves that way, most of us, we fall in this bracket where in this country what they call middle class.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. It's true.
unfortunately, we fall in that bracket what they call middle class in this country, because you maybe you have your lay condo, you have your lay house, you're not on Snap, you're not on
Real
whatever. So
estate, your
guess what?
investment, even your bank account. Yeah.
So guess what? So guess what? You're middle class, So as a
Yeah.
middle class, it is important to have these things in place, to have a trust, to have a will, to have a directive in place. It is. I mean, all of us, even me talking, right? It is important that we all. If we don't have it, it is very, very important to either start thinking in those direction, or to start working on it, because, and to your point, right, we need to definitely bring an estate planner on here to kind of educate our people on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing about what's about life insurance. That's one of the things, life insurance. Man, so many stories again in the community where somebody, I says, like, this whole GoFundMe, young person die, person, like, was working, have everything going on, and unfortunately, right things happen to them. You wonder, okay, sometimes there's no life insurance, or even if there's a life insurance, maybe it's not adequate enough, so that aspect of it, is nothing. What's your take on that?
No, and it's good thing you talked about it from like a young person passing away example, because oftentimes when people think about life insurance, the parents only think about themselves. Um, but you will see that, life insurance is a wealth tool as well. And that's why, I'm not to be the expert or anything. I feel like folks should look into that. You can get life insurance on your kids. And sometimes it's probably good that you do sooner rather than later, because you don't know what illnesses your kids can develop over time. And so, because I know from a family member who luckily she got insurance for her daughter, because I think it was by age 10 or 12, she got a life-threatening disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is something you can age into, like, multiple sclerosis. It doesn't
Yeah.
take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, now that that kid already had a life insurance, they can't be denied. Right.
Okay.
Whereas if you get a disease or capture some kind of life-threatening disease when you're younger, that may go until age 55, or it progresses over a long period of time. You can go get older, have kids, get married, but now you can't access life insurance because you ever have a pre-existing conditions, pre-existing disease. So sometimes those are the benefits of getting insurance for your younger kids sooner rather than later, because you don't know what can come up, right? And sometimes the loss of that child can have some economic impact. Your ability to be able to continue to work, you're grieving, right? I know people who have gone through kids getting ill, getting sick and passing away, unfortunately, and that has impacted their ability to work or keep a job. And then next thing you know, things are just spiraling down. But what happens is that loss is at least is protected economically. The impact that could happen to you from that loss is not protected through having that policy. So those are some of the benefits of having life insurance, either for an old person or a young person.
Yeah. And folks, tonight we are discussing legacy building for us immigrants. What are you leaving behind for your family, for your kids? And then so you can contribute to the conversation or call our number 952-594-5154. Right? But again, many people in our community, Miss B, they take life insurance as, God, I don't need it, or I don't need it right now. To your point, a young person in their 20s, I don't need it. We like to avoid it. And then sometimes, we think it is a bill, right? It's a bill that, oh gosh, it's too expensive. I can't afford it. But we have to look at it from this angle, right? Where it is a protection. It's something. It is a legacy, basically, in an event that maybe something happened to your child, in an event something happened to you, that your family don't have to worry about. Oh God, how are we going to raise this money to bury this person, or how are we going to maybe pay this mortgage? All of these things. So it is very, very important that we don't look at it as a bill. It can get everything in this country can be expensive. Like just yesterday we talked about the affordability crisis, right? Things are expensive here, but there are certain things I don't think they should be overlooked. There are certain things I think we should prioritize them, because if you don't prioritize them, they might come tomorrow to haunt you, right? They might come back tomorrow to haunt you. So it is very, very important. But the fact that we like to enoch them, we like to say, oh gosh, it's so expensive. I don't need life insurance. I'm young, or I'm not going to get sick. And to your point, so not in our community, right? You have all these different stuff going around. As a young person, you never know when you might catch something. And then right away in this country, right, is like that pre-existing condition insurance company as both health and a life insurance company. That's the thing. Once you have a pre-existing condition, it's like almost like a death sentence, where they're telling you, nope, we
Nope.
cannot insure you, or your insurance become very expensive.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's like you say, oh gosh, I wish I knew, right? Because once you
Yeah.
have it before anything, there's no way they can take it away from you.
Yeah. It's some of those things. Is like, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and don't have it, right? That's how a life insurance. I like to believe that the African and the African American community is getting a lot better before, because the reality is just that some people just feel like they just can't afford it. But the reality is, it depends on the product. I mean, stuff is as cheap as $8 a month. And come on now, we know we spend $8 easily just walking out the door every day, let alone having to pay it $8 a month, right? So it's just really figure out what is the right product out there for your budget. And then we talk about legacy and what are you leaving behind. Your policy is a big part of that. It is an asset, it's a wealth asset too as well, because if you think about it, I think it was like in 2005 or something like that. I used to be a financial advisor, and they were talking about how Oprah had done a $40 million life insurance policy. And we're talking about, oh, the person who wrote that policy can retire, because of the commission they would make off of that $40 million policy. But if you think about it, it was not just, because Oprah is a wealthy woman and she passes away, yes, that her family will miss that income. It was a policy that it's a place for her to park money and grow, and as if it's stock. Because what happens is life insurance, depending if you're buying whole life, it's a mutual insurance, life. They're putting your policy and buying stock or trading it on the stock market, right? And so you can gain dividends from it, right? It can grow dividends that you can eventually be able to take out and do other things with. So just think Oprah buying a $40 million policy, and that's just the cost of the policy. So we don't even know that 40 million maybe could have been $1 billion policy. It could probably be worth $1 billion. Don't know if I'm sure it was probably all whole life. Why she's Oprah, why mess with term? And so therefore she was pocketing some of her money somewhere where it would be able to and have a long-term investment. So it can be a wealth too. And I'm not in that field of work anymore. But when you come across people who want to talk to you about financial management or all those things, those are the kind of people you should just sit down and hear what they got to say. What are the different products they're trying to sell? And let it make sense for you. But, don't just say, no, I don't want to buy whatever you're trying to sell.
And when it comes to financial education or financial management or whatever, when it comes to your finances, it's not only your bank account. It's not only you going to earning a paycheck, right? It's very much holistic, right? Your paycheck, you earning, your life insurance, if your investments, your day-to-day expenses. It is very, very much holistic, right? It's not just one piece. And unfortunately, most of us in the community, right, we say, "Oh God," when it comes to, first of all, we don't even like to talk about money. I think Sago Podcast is the only platform that has dedicated one day every week to talk about money and business, to talk about finance and business. No, I don't think there's any immigrant platform here that does that, because for us, we are passionate about that. We need to educate our people about money, about finance, about business, about generational wealth. But when you talk about money, it's not just you going to work every day and your paycheck, they pay you and then you pay your bills. No, that's not to me, right there is like what you are doing that you are stuck in survival mode. You're just surviving.
Basically.
You are just surviving. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying like, hey, it's easy to survive in this. I mean, it's easy to do these things, but you have to look at money in a way, in a holistic way. It's not just you earning your paycheck and paying your bills. I know budget can be tight, but when we look at things holistically, we start saying, because sometimes $5 putting $5 away somewhere, getting a life insurance, doing X, Y, and Z, or cutting down some of your, maybe cutting out going to jumbo or maybe eating out, it's like some of these things you can reallocate your resources places that it really, really matters, that way is really, really needed. So when we talk about money, to your point, it should be holistic. It should not be a one-sided thing. It shouldn't just you earn your paycheck, you go into your account and then you spend it.
Yeah, and that's why when we talk about growing wealth, right, your social capital is important. The folks you have around you, your legacy, right? Those are the people, your network. Those things matter too. Your ability to make money, earn money, grow wealth. It does matter. The people that you're around you, the people you're talking to, the people who you're confiding in, the people who you're looking to for mentorship. Don't think because you're married, you have children, and you feel like you're groomed, that you can't be mentored. You definitely can be mentored, and you should be mentored, right? And oftentimes, people who you're getting that mentorship from, this is how they're giving back. This is how they too are leaving a legacy behind, where they can say, okay, you know what? Yes, I came, I made money, I educated myself, but at the end of the day, I was able to give that back, right? To community. I mentored somebody. I had conversations with people, right? And so it's important who you have around you, who is in your social capital is important. Who do you have in your network? All is important and adds value to you, and how you are able to grow wealth, and how you leave the legacy that you leave behind for your children.
Definitely. Well, folks, to know we are talking about legacy building for immigrants. What are you leaving behind? What are you leaving behind? Are you just working? Are you just surviving? Are you just grinding every day and not thinking about, man, when I leave this world, or tomorrow I'm old in my nursing home, or where, or back home in my village, what am I leaving behind? So we are talking about legacy building tonight, so contribute to the conversation, comment in the chat, or call our number. But Miss B, keep bringing something up, right? And that's something I think that is very lacking in me, is because maybe because of our background, where we're coming from, or most of us, in Africa, it's all about survivor. Most of us in Africa is all about survivor. Certain people, obviously, they were making it there, but most of it is all about survival. So the whole idea about service, the whole idea about when I leave this world, what am I leaving behind? I don't think, well, forget about even the younger generation. Most of us immigrants here, I don't think, when it comes to just the thing you're talking about, right? The way we are raising our kids, the way we are leading our lives, the service that you are providing to the community, right? Serving on a board, having a nonprofit, being intentional about, giving back to the business community. Man, they are almost 95% of 99% of us immigrants are not even doing that, right? We are just waking up every day, go to work, come home, go to party, go to the baby shower, go to a wedding and stuff. We are not being intentional about. And that's what that these are some of the gaps you see in our community, because a lot of folks, like I have said it many times on here, right? You got so many educated folks, so many folks that are doing well, but they are just in their own little corner. When you ask them, I don't want to be part of the community. But well, you are so educated, you have so much to give back to this community. Why are you avoiding the community? Oh, the community is so noisy. Oh, it's like, I don't like to be among the community. But how is the community not going to, if you want a community not to be noisy, come and contribute something, right? Tomorrow when they say, oh God, like, hey, like in your case, they will say, yeah, when they see, oh, that's Miss B daughter. Oh wow, she was of service to the community. She served the community. She mentor folks, business owners. Now a lot of folks are doing them. A lot of educated folks, doctors, professors. They
You're
are
right.
staying in the
You're right.
background. They're not coming up front.
That is the thing that pains me too about my community, to be honest. Like, when I hear what comes out of some of and that's why for me I always make that distinction. Education and intelligence are not one and the same. And we shouldn't be using them so interchangeably, right? For somebody to
Mhm,
be educated, and even educated means to be learning, right? If we look at the definition of education, is to be learning. And so when people are being educated about, and they're educated meaning academia, and I always go to the extent of saying educated person academically, are you saying, are they educated? Because even just because you have an academic degree does not mean you're educated about everything that exists in the world and you know everything. No, right?
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And so when I see some educated people, yes, I am baffled by the things that they say about their community and how they feel and their sight and their opinion about their community, right? And this idea that you got to where you are by yourself. You did not, but you don't want to pay back. It has to be about paying back. None of us got to where we are on our own, right? From where today, where I work, right, and the people I'm working with, and the relationships that I'm having, it is built off of my parents, right? Or
mhm,
let's
mhm,
just say maybe you didn't have those type of parents, right? And you started doing it yourself over time. Your interactions from maybe in as far back as grade school,
mhm.
you are benefiting from the trajectory of those relationships that you built along the way now today in your adult life, right? Where
Yeah.
you're working, just think about it, where you work, who you work for, right? where you were able to go to school. All of those things were built off of the fact of somebody's legacy, some type of relationship or something that got you to where you are. And then there's just people who, when they get there, they just don't care to pay back. They don't want to give back what they receive on the backs of somebody else. It's like blessing somebody doesn't mean that's the same person going to come and bless you. Your blessings will come back from a different way, a different person. And that is what's missing a lot. I agree with you, in our community, and we need to think differently.
And I don't think we should even use the word payback, right? It should be like pay forward.
Pay
Paying it.
forward.
So what you're doing, what you are doing is paying it forward. You are paving the way for other people to do it for other people, right?
Yes.
That's what you are doing. When you come back to to all of the educated folks out there, to the medical doctors out there, if you come back, because what most of our kids are growing up, they don't see folks like them. They don't see
Yeah.
folks like them because no one is coming back, and these folks exist. Like
Yeah, they
these
do.
folks, a lot of them exist. When you encounter them, you say, you know, sometimes when they tell me a person, I said, sometimes well, I doubt that that person is S, Y, and Z, right? Maybe some of them bank account loaded. Yeah, I said, really? That person is that? He said, yeah, but I have never seen that person in the community. He said, and then I mean, talk to them, they say, nah, I don't want to be part of the community. I don't like to be part of the community because the community does not represent me. I'm saying, oh, whoa, really? You know, it's shocking. You know what I mean? It's shocking, you know, and things like that. But it's about paying it forward. As you said, right? No one's an island. You can get all your PhD, your master degree, all your millions of dollars, your medical degree. Someone along the way help you to get there. And the best you can do, and not only you doing it for your family, for your kids, you got to be of service to the community. If you want to build a legacy, if you want to leave a legacy behind for folks to know, oh gosh, because at the end of the day, right? When and I think I mentioned this one time on this platform, right? There's a difference, you know, like David Brooks, you know, of a New York Times columnist wrote this book, The Road to Character. He talked about your resume virtue and and your eulogy virtues. And most of the
Yep.
time, folks, when we die, right? When folks that come to our funeral, they're not talking about how much money we are leaving behind.
No.
At your funeral, nobody's talking about how
I don't
much
think
money
I've
you
ever
have,
gone to a
how
funeral
much
and heard
car,
that.
you know, how
You're
much
right.
car, yeah, I mean, you have, right? How much car you have. Oh, or how many Facebook friends you know you
No,
have. No one is talking
you're
about
right.
those things. What are they talking about? How did you live your life?
Yep.
Were you a service to other? When you hear people sometimes in your community where we lose, when somebody dies, so that person was so nice. Some of them don't even mean it though, right? It's like, that person was
Hmm.
so nice. Tell people nice in what way, you know? But I mean, what we're talking about, right? In Allah, to be of service, to leave a legacy behind, you got to be of service to your community.
Yeah. Yeah. You are so right. It's like, now that I think about it, I've never gone to a funeral and somebody told, oh, this man left this amount of money behind, da 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 da. Da. And people always reference, oh, Steve Jobs, he was here with all the billions and he left it all right here, right? And so, but what we think about what he left is not how much money he left here, is we think about what he did for, the IT world, or what he did for advancing, technology or things here, right? Those are the things that we think about what he left behind. Nobody can tell me how much money he was worth when he passed away. Nobody's talking about that, right? So legacy does matter. No matter who you are and how much money you have or don't have, the legacy that you leave behind is important, especially when you're, like, again, you're leaving family and kids behind, right? And kids see you. It's like you already are creating that you're creating that pathway in which your kids are going to live their life too, right? Because they're watching you now today and they see the things that you're doing, and therefore that's what they're going to be doing too. Like, oh, are you a person of service? Are you a person that was paying forward, right? Are you a person that was involved in your community, right? Like, there are people who, when they see my daughter, because I work where I work, they'll be like, oh, the Acer baby, right? Or our baby, community members like, oh, our baby, I remember her when she was, whatever, whatever.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Even today, one of my colleagues shared with us that she's having a baby, and she's like, oh, I can't wait to tell Station. I'm just like, you see, those are all a part of my legacy. Like, even to, God forbid, today, tomorrow, something, if I wasn't here, right? the legacy that I'm leaving behind, the relationships that I'm creating today are not just for me. It's for my daughter as well. It's for my kids. That's who I'm creating those
Definitely, definitely, right. That's
relationships for.
yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Steve Jobs, right? When Steve Jobs was on his dying bed, when he was sick on his dying bed, one of the quote he had was, are you there, Miss B?
I'm here.
Okay, okay. So I'm glad you brought up Steve Jobs, right? When he was on his dying bed, one of his famous quote, I won't read everything here, right? But he said, "I have reached the pinnacle of success in the business world. You know, in others' eyes, my life is an epitome of success. However, aside from work, I have little joy. You know, in the end, work is only a part of life that I am accustomed to. At this moment, right, lying on this sick bed and recording my whole life, I realized that all the recognition and work I took so much pride in has become meaningless in the
Mm.
face of imminent death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Everything that we celebrate, oh gosh, driving, I had lived in this big house, driving a Range Rover, God, I have like 5 million Facebook friends or followers and things like that. Everything that we take pride in, there will come a moment become meaningless.
Yeah.
There's a man he founded one of the most successful company in the world.
Yep.
Okay, it was billions of dollars wealth lying there, and money could not even solve his problem.
No.
Could not solve his problem. At that moment in time, it became meaningless.
Yeah.
So to your point, Steve Jobs' legacy is not the money; it's his
Oh.
inventions.
Yep.
The iPhone we have today. You
Yep.
know, his contribution to what to the technological advancement of this world.
Yep.
That's what we are remembering Steve Jobs for, right? To your
Yeah.
point, he died a billionaire, one of the richest person in the world. But nobody can. You will ask so many people, except they go and Google it or chat GPT
Yeah.
it, but nobody can tell you how much Steve Jobs was worth. And
No.
so that's the point. When you are building a legacy, it should not be centered around money. It should not
No.
be centered around. Oh, guys, I have so much money. Obviously, right? You should be intentional about what you are leaving for your family, for your kids and I mean others and what have you, and what's going to bury you, right? And all those. You should be intentional about those. But
Yeah.
your legacy should not be centered around money, how much money you are making. Like be so much consumed about that because I have never gone to a funeral. I have never witnessed a funeral where the focus is money. What the
Mm-mm.
focus is the material things you are leaving behind. Oh yeah,
Mm-mm.
fair. Oh, God, especially in our community. God, that person was so nice. Oh, the
They did
person was
this for
this.
me. Did
Yeah,
that
the
for
person was there. Or even like there was a recent funeral that took place here, right? There's like a wedding. I think it turned into a huge party. you know,
I
because
remember.
according to folks, right, this
Yes.
dude when he was alive, he used to love partying, right?
Yep.
And so people all they could think about was to celebrate his life
Yep.
because that's who they remember him. That's how they
Yeah.
remember him. He
They were
was
partying for days.
yeah, because he was a what? A joyful
Yep.
person. Okay, we're
Yeah.
not talking about God, how much money he had,
Mm-mm.
how much money he made, or what, who all of these, things, those vanity stuff that we worried about when we are alive. No one was talking about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So man, this is a great topic tonight, man. So folks, tonight we are discussing legacy building for immigrants. What are you leaving behind? But you had a thought. Go ahead, Miss B.
No, I was in agreement with you, and another thing too is like we don't realize it, but sometimes the most wealthiest people can't get into certain places. Like doors get shut on them. Like your money, and we don't care how much money you have, your money is not welcome here because of your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And or I understand you're not your father, but the life your father lived is now impacting you because we didn't appreciate the kind of person he was. So now we're not going to be bothered with you. We don't care that you are not your father. We still don't want to be bothered with you. And so it is important, you know, that if you're not living a life that will be talked about in a positive way, it's not too late. You can change things around. If you're still here to see tomorrow, you can change things around. And I know, there's so many negative connotation when it comes to our community.
Mhm.
And so I hope the topic today is not only just making you to think about what you're leaving behind, but also think about what you're leaving behind as far as money or monetary things. I hope it's always thinking about the character, your character, right? And what the reputation that you're holding right now, that
Mhm.
is a part of your legacy too, right?
Yeah.
And if you have kids and you have a family, right? How you are carrying yourself, the reputation that you have today will impact them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I hope people are being mindful of how they're living their life today.
And let me, you brought another great point. Let me just, I mean, it's like it's part of this Steve Jobs quote where he says that, right? You can employ someone to drive the car for you, make money for you, but you cannot have someone be a sickness for you. You
No.
know, you know, material things can be fun, but one thing that can never be lost is life,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, life. And then he says, so he goes on to say, right, treat yourself well, cherish others, and so as we grow older and wiser, we slowly realize that true inner happiness does not come from the material things of this world.
No.
He said, the wealth I have won in my life, I cannot bring with me. What I can bring are only my memories of love.
Yep.
So to your point there, right, is like how you live your life, how you treat others, how
Hmm.
you how you how you how you give how you pay it forward with others, how you know what I mean. And I mean your presence in your community. All of these things matter because in the day, the Range Rover you driving ain't gonna take it with you. Honestly, the horse you live in, you not take it with you. The way we
Nothing.
the way we came into this world, unfortunately, that's how we're gonna live.
That's the
Nothing.
same way you leave.
Yeah,
It's
so
the same way
legacy,
you leave.
yeah, legacy building should not be again, as I said, right, should not be centered around money, should be centered around your character. And as we grow older, that's when it should become more important. Unfortunately, we have most of us in our community as we grow older, we feel that's when we are getting younger. No, you should decide, you should start taking that easy. Oh God, I'm getting up the age. Right, you are not living you are not trying to work for your future or trying to because most of us had this notion you're in your 40s and you're still saying, oh God, my future, my future. No, you already living in your future. Stop thinking of and start being intentional about your character. Start being intentional about how you treat people. Start being intentional about how you relate to people, and start being intentional about just treating your fellow men as you want to be treated.
Exactly. And to be honest, as I'm getting older, I do value my health and my time more than ever. Like my happy place is my home. My happy place is my home. It's like even as I'm going more and more in my career and I'm getting more and more opportunities to be out there traveling, I don't want to travel unless I'm traveling with my family, right? And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
it's like I'm appreciating the quietness and softness. What does it call it? I'm living my
Soft
soft
life.
soft
Yep.
life era.
Hmm.
I'm appreciating and value more and more. It's like my ability to be protective of my time, right? Those are the things that you start to value more than any amount of money, to be honest, right? I want to make sure, again, we want to make sure that you're putting the protections in place,
Yep.
right? So that when you are not here, the people who benefit from you being here monetary can continue to still benefit from you, even though you are not here. Make sure those things are put in place. But when it comes to really that legacy of who you are as a person outside of that money, is valuing your time now to be able to prioritize the quality time you're spending with family. How are you investing in your social capital, right? And
Hmm.
investing in your social capital is the time you're spending with friends, the time you're spending with family, how you're pouring into them mentally. What are the advices you're giving them? What time are you taking to give them that advice? Those things, honestly, are way more important than anything else that you're trying to leave behind.
Definitely, definitely, man. As you said, as you put those social protection in place, just want to call that out here. Retirement is very important, right? Retirement, have a 401k if you work for a company that has a pension. Make sure you take advantage of these things, right? Don't say, I mean, for me, oh, I will not forget about the money, right? Contribute to your 401k, and except you need to, wherein like you have some emergency expenses, don't touch it. Don't touch it, right? Because it is something you leave in for basically now. I mean, to me, like I'm African man, I don't believe in retirement. so that I'm healthy, you know, so that I'm healthy. I can get up, I can get out of bed every morning. I'm going to hustle, right? You know what I mean? But
Apparently, a lot of people don't believe in retirement. I think what is it like 39+% more older people are in the work field than
yeah,
compared to
because I think
1987.
I think the whole idea about 65 retire. I mean, you're gonna be bored out of your head, right? I mean, they do that. Folks do that. You know what I mean? Just go and sit. I mean, you see these older folks at the gym in the morning because what? That's where they spend their time, right? Once
Yeah,
you
a
retire, there's
lot
no,
of them.
especially in this country, the sad part with this country, nowhere to go. Right? It's like you just because if you have to move from here from point A to point B, it's going to cost you money. So you
Yes.
so so I'm just saying. So now I'm healthy, folks. Guess what? I'm going back to my village and be walking every day and be making some farms. I don't believe in that whole idea of retirement, but but
No.
anyway,
I
but
think right now it's about retiring the 9 to 5. That's what we look forward to, retiring the
okay.
9 to 5, not necessarily retiring from work. Because once you're alive, you're going to want to have to get up for a reason. You're going to have a reason to get up every day and something to look forward to, right? So some type of labor is going to be happening. For me, it's not retiring from because I'm old, it's retiring from that 9 to 5 that I look forward to, and hopefully sooner rather than 65.
And the other thing people should avoid, I know most of us we made remittances home, we have family back home. So, oh, I got my family, I gotta pay this X, Y, and Z tuition. I gotta, folks are depending on me to eat. Look, none of those things are bad, but I mean, sometimes, right, we gotta take care of we gotta fund out things the important things that are here because tomorrow, if there's soon you retire and go down there, nothing coming down there for you, the people say, but all the year you spend in America, all the year you spend in America there, you can't hear with nothing, your hair, your
Yeah,
hair is dry and
you're the
nothing like
one
that.
coming
So
to be
yeah,
responsible for your eating.
so don't forget to stack up your 401k or your pension plan because Social Security, guess what? You and I, who knows whether it's still going to be here. And sometimes, even if it's here, right, it is not really enough to maintain the lifestyle that you want to maintain. A lot of older folks will tell you that, you know what I mean, and things like that. So your 401k or if you work for a pension for a company that has a pension, take advantage of those. And whether you retire here or retire in the Caribbean, retire in Africa, you'll be getting those things. And don't go to Africa and say, "Oh, the bullshit, yeah, all the years you spend here, you spend that day you can't hear with your head swinging with nothing." Whereby you were trying to take care of them, make sure that they were good, but they won't look at it that way anymore.
Yeah, yeah. You have a plan for not retiring from working, but just retiring from the 9 to 5, folks. Like I was talking to some folks, last night, and for them, it's like, okay, the remote people are really looking for remote work that provides them that flexibility to not have to be in the 9 to 5 and 40 hours of work, 40-hour work week. It's like, and then I was reading something that says companies should be more open to having older people in the work field because you get to keep that experience right on hand, but then be flexible for them not having to work that 40-hour work week. Some of them maybe just want to work 20 hours. I was at a community event last week, Saturday, and the guy from the property management company is retiring. And the guy from the board is like, "Well, we really like you. You've been great, right? So is it possible that, the company can just keep you on a part-time basis just to be able to service us, this board?" And he's like, "Yeah, as long as they allow me to work remote, I won't mind." So it's something that people should think about. It's not retiring from your it's not retiring as to not work, but just figuring how to retire from your 9 to 5. Um, because having time, honestly, having valuable time is very important to your ability to be able to grow wealth, your ability to be able to leave this legacy behind, that which we're talking about. Time is more valuable than any amount of money.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Well, folks, to know we are talking about legacy building, right? For us immigrants, especially for us immigrants, and for anyone. So, what are you leaving behind as you leave this world? What are you leaving behind? But the other thing I wanted to bring up here, right, Miss B, right? We'll talk about the money. We'll talk about our living life, right? But what values, right? Some of those values, for me, the thing I want to leave my kids, you know what I mean, stuff like that, right? It's like I think faith is very important. We live in a world right now where in like
Oh, yes.
a lot of people think, oh God, man, I don't need God. You know what I mean? I need to go to church, or I don't need to. if you're Muslim, whatever your religious belief is, it's like I'm wondering to myself. I mean, no one. I'm not sitting here telling you say I'm religious, but this is one thing I would tell you is that when I leave this world, and that's why I'm intentional about some of the things I'm doing for my kids. Right, I send them to the school. I send them to because I want them to grow in faith. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I can't provide that 100% for them, but the environment I'm putting them in is like every day they're exposed to that. So I
Yep.
wanted to grow in faith so that tomorrow I'm not here to say, oh gosh, at least our dad, made some intentional efforts, And then the other thing, I think we had a segment on here about mental health. I said one of the ways to me I take care of my mental health is make sure every Sunday I go spend my 1 hour in my Cali church, listening to
Ooh.
my listening to my priest, preach, and then get my communion and get out of there. It helps me get ready for the week. My kids and I would do that every Sunday, except when they're not with me that Sunday, right? So something I'm very intentional about. So it's about values. Some of the things we talk about, right? What values are we living for our kids? Are you maybe like taking your kids on vacation, taking your kids to religion, to church or to a mosque, being intentional about those things. Because the way that you treat, the way that you do these things, right? That's that that's how they're gonna take them after you. The reason why we live in a we say yeah, we live in a secular society where we don't value religion or or faith anymore is because we got most people living some of them doing two, three, four doubles, but they have no time, to do the basic, and so it's like it also has to, it boils down also to values. What values are we passing down in terms of legacy to our kids?
No, that is true. I feel like at the end of the day, if you have nothing, it's the values, right? And values can be the hardworking. Are you a hardworking
Yeah.
person? You got up every day and you went out there and you worked a job and you came home, right?
And
Those
your
are some
kids
of
are
the
seeing,
values.
and your kids are seeing that, yeah.
And your kids are seeing that, and statistically it shows that if kids grow up, kids are more likely to value hard work if they grew up in an environment where they're seeing their parents going to work every day, and waking up and getting up and going to work. That's why you're more likely to see people continue those values as well, right? And morals, how you respect yourself, how you carry yourself, women, right? Those are the things that your kids are watching, and they them too carry themselves that way. Like you're not at home swearing all the time, you're not at home drinking a lot, they're likely not going to see those things happening with your kids. Those are all values and things that you're instilling in them. And then another thing is, like, we're always home. We're not, there's not oftentimes where I would say our kids did not see both of us in the house, or at least one parent in the house after school, right? And
Mhm.
so we're telling our children what we value more, right? It's not the career, it's not, it's not chasing after this money, is making sure that somebody is here with them, right? And being around them, right? Knowing there's a parent that they can talk to, having, so these are all the things that I value, and then I exemplify in my life. And so that's how you pass on your ethics and your values to your kids. That's your leaving behind too, and for generations to come too.
Yeah, because those are your legacy, right? When your kids see you that, oh God, Miss B is a compassionate person, the one thing about how to treat others,
Yep.
but when they see you on that blue app, going at it with somebody else, oh gosh, I saw my mom doing that, or I saw my dad doing that all the time, right? So your compassion, and then we talk about resilience, are you person no matter what you going on, because we live in a tough environment. The world today we live in, stuff, it's complicated, is very, very, it's hard. The world is hard, folks. It's not easy
Very.
out here. It's not easy out here. But your folks see your resiliency. My kids sometimes would tell me, "Oh, there you reach." I told them, I know, I can tell them. I said, "He said, he said, the kind of shoe that burn, how much shoe is burning me, right?" But hey, I try. No matter what I'm going through, I try for my kids not to see that. It's my
Yeah.
resilience.
Yep.
Because I want them
Yep.
to know, you know what? If I sit and bicker, if I sit and complain, right? So that even when my kids are complaining about, oh, my teacher doesn't like me, or the lesson is so hard. I said, that's just a poor excuse, right? I think you can do better. I know you. You can do better. He said, oh no, my friends, it's not about your friends, it's about you. I know you can do better because I know you are a very resilient person. Because that's who I am. No matter what, I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not sitting here crying and say, "Hey, I can't make it."
No.
I might cry, but I'm not crying in front of you. Right?
Who you gonna cry to? Who
you
you
know,
gonna complain to?
yeah,
You know?
So yeah,
Yeah, people think that folks just think my life is always roses. It's 100% peachy. That Denise Miss B has no problems whatsoever. Life is perfect over there. No, but the idea is I look to God, right? You talked about your faith, right? And how that is important to you and your values that you put on. I mean, my family knows, and I can see it in them too. I'm always praying, my husband and the girls, they tease me, be like, Father God, Father God. Everybody know me and my Father God. And so that is important to me, is like, because at the end of the day, I feel like my faith is what holds everything together. That no matter how hard it is, I know God is going to see me through it. And therefore, I don't carry my struggles on my face. I don't carry my struggles on me. You see me out there, I'm going to be smiling. I did a Clifton Strengths test for the first time. And my first strength is positivity.
yeah,
And when I saw the result, I'm like, what is positivity? But as I read behind it, and I showed up somewhere, and this person was like, your strength must be positivity, because I swear you wear that on your face. I was like, oh wow. She's like, yeah, every time you come into a room, you're smiling. And I didn't even process that. I was like, I guess that's my strength, positivity. But yeah, like you said, those are the things. And having a positive and optimistic mindset is something you pass on to your kids. You don't realize it, right? If
oh
you're
yeah,
somebody who's always stressed, always looking at life as the glass is half empty, always being negative about things, you pass that on too. And then you're just creating more negative Nancy's in the world, right? And
that's it.
so all these things are important when we talk about legacy. We're not only just talking about the money you're going to be leaving behind for your family too, but what are the things that you're showing now in your life that they can be emulating as well?
Take your kids on vacation. Do things with your family. Do things with
Yes.
your kids. It's like these are things that they will learn. I say, oh gosh, and then they will learn to go on vacation with their family. But man, this has been a good topic with legacy, building legacy for immigrants. This is a 1 hour show, but every time we bring this topic, and guess what, man? All the juicy topic we bring here, we're working on guests to bring them. Right, Miss B talk about like an estate planner to come here and say, hey, in terms of the financial aspect. I also, we should bring someone also to talk about the faith aspect or maybe other
Yes.
aspects of things that we have, discussed here
Yes.
and how important it is to leave a legacy behind, even service, and things like that. We still waiting for Miss B Boss to come on here because she's she have served the community well with ASA executive director. So you need to tell her we're still waiting for her. She got
She's
my
gonna
email.
come. She'll be coming soon.
Yeah, so but anyway, as we wrap this thing up, Miss B, this has been a great topic. I mean, this is near and dear to my heart. This I think we bring here, right? Just to put information out there for our people to ponder, our community to ponder, right? To kind of reflect on. You and I, we are not expert. It's just about life experiences that will come in, and spew here every now and then. But it's just for a community to ponder, and I was to bring expert here more, in the future to expand on these things. It is important. These are resources our community need. Legacy is very, very important. We should not take it for granted, whether it's your financial legacy, your faith, or whatever, your character, all of these things. But as we wrap it up, man, what's the message for folks tonight that have been listening to it for the last 1 hour?
I mean, legacy. I just want to shout out, some phenomenal boss chick women out here. Again, Eileen at the Connect Up Institute. Devana Pittman owns Nature Syrup. It's a Black woman owned natural hair product line that you can find in Hy-Vee, online at Macy's. Just doing some phenomenal things here. And I will say the graduation ceremony I went to yesterday, 4 Black women PhD holders in that space. Yes. Starting their businesses, growing their businesses, and still very educated. Right. And so I just want to say, to my Black women out there, I'm so proud of you guys. I'm loving you guys, and I appreciate the legacies that you guys are leaving behind. We are not our mother's children, even though our mothers, they did well. When I say we're not our mother's children, it's not about just staying at home and having those babies. We're out here. We're growing businesses, growing empires, growing generational wealth. And I just want to lift you guys up today.
And what you are doing right there, right, is that you guys are breaking the generational cycles, right?
Yes.
Your
Yes.
mother. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes.
Folks, my party message tonight is, man, whether it's your kids or it's folks in your community, right? At your funeral, when folks are just see you, think about what would they say about you? What would they be saying about you? You should really, as you live your life every day, think about, man, what do I want my eulogy virtue to be? Think about that deeply. It shouldn't be about the money, as Miss B said, service to your community,
Yes.
to your kids, to the way you live your life right now. Think about that, right? That's the message I want to leave with you tonight. It shouldn't just be, that was, oh God, how, your kids might ask, God, what did dad do for us? Sometimes it's not about the money, right? But how prepared did you leave them to navigate this world, man? Because this world can be, especially the world we're living in now, right? With AI coming, with all these robots that coming, it's going to get tougher, right? But so you have to leave your kids prepared. We have to leave the community prepared. We have to leave the world a better place than we met it. But this has been a great segment, Miss B. Legacy building, for all of us. Thank you so much for joining me on this show tonight, folks. The girls should be back here tomorrow with the social segment. It should be late, and we'll see you. Miss B and I will be back here next week with some great segment. But Miss B, again, thank you so much. And folks, you all have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow and next week.
Good night, everyone.